The Chiefs have I will do this for both teams. Adam Schefter tweeted this out, and it got me thinking. You can have one free agent off the Chiefs roster. And I'm really going defense mostly. I think that's where we're going to land, but I'll give you all of them. It's Chris Jones, L'Jarius Sneed, Mike Dana, Willie Gay, Donovan Smith, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jerick McKinnon, Drew Tranquill, Mike Edwards, Derrick Nnadi, Tershawn Wharton, obviously the punter, Tommy Townsend, Mecole Hardman. There might even be more. I really go to Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed here.
Those are the two.
I mean, those are the two. Which one are you taking?
I'm taking Chris Jones because I think the game's won and lost in the trenches. And I think a team, and yeah, obviously secondary is going to be a big need too for the Jaguars, but you let Derrick Henry run all over you and kept you out of the playoffs because you weren't physical enough, you weren't tough enough in the interior. Bringing Chris Jones, that changes. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going Chris Jones.
How much do you like Sneed?
I like Sneed a lot too, but I just think from a game-wrecking perspective, I'm going Chris Jones.
Yeah, I would too. Again, now he's going to be, I think he already might be 30, but he might be getting, but that age doesn't bother me that much at that position for whatever reason. I think age does bother you at some other positions, not really that one.
So Chris Jones will be 30 in July.
30 in July. Okay. So yeah, it's pretty much the same as Danielle Hunter. I think that one. Now, Sneed's a guy you could have around for a long time, too. You're talking about age, right? There's a big difference. You're like whole contract worth. I just said it all year, too. I was like, Chris Jones, man, if you had that guy, like if you really were somehow to find that guy in this defense, I really think the Jags would be dynamic and really good. And some of this was when the Jags were playing good defense, if I'm being honest with you. But it's just eye-popping if they had that interior presence, because the Jags have really done this the last couple of years without a huge interior presence. They did not get what they thought they were going to get on Fadakasi. Roy Robertson-Harris, I like him, but he's been inconsistent. Devon Hamilton, good year last year to earn the contract, and obviously a lost year this year because of the infection and the back injury. So Chris Jones, here's the other thing that Chris Jones gives you, and I don't know if Sneed gives you as much of this. He might. He gives you that dog, that mentality, that edge that I think there's a little missing here in Jacksonville in that locker room. And he knows what it's like. It would remind me a little bit of bringing a guy like Malik Jackson in. Yeah. Right? Because he had been there. Malik was a little younger when he came to Jacksonville, but he had that edge to him. He had been and won the Super Bowl. He knows what it takes. Like, you need some of those guys. I think he would really be a good signing for you if you were able to do it. And I don't know, because do you think he's going to be in Kansas City?
Chris Jones?
Yeah. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to what's more important to him. Does he want to try to go for that three-peat? Does he want the money? I'm not sure.
Yeah, legacy
I can't
play.
speak on it. Yeah.
All right, how about the San Francisco 49ers? I'll give you some free agents. Chase Young, Tayshaun Gibson, Feliciano, the offensive lineman, Javon Kinlaw, Sam Darnold, Oren Burks, Cleveland Farrell, Randy Gregory, Sebastian Joseph Day. Hey, Ben Barch.
There we go.
Heard of that guy. They've got a lot of them. Let's see. Chris Conley. By the way, how about Chris Conley? They also have Brandon Allen.
Oh, Georgia?
How many Jags are on San Francisco?
Right.
Anybody jump out?
Go back to the offensive lineman again.
Feliciano, and I think that's it.
Okay. He started, obviously.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
Did he get hurt in that? I think he actually got hurt in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's what it was then. Yeah.
Probably not.
I mean,
though. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
As good as San Francisco's roster,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Chase Young has lost a lot. No, Chase Young actually played pretty well in that game.
No, Chase Young balled out, but once again, like it's the whole "are you going to pay him?
Yeah,
what does he want?" kind of thing over Josh Allen.
Yeah. So, yeah, nobody jumps out. And here's the thing with all these guys is the Jags used to have like half of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You forget. I looked it up last night again. Chris Conley's numbers and what's good. He's from Georgia. Hammy, got you. Chris Conley's numbers, like, remember the combine? We talked about it so many times on the show before. 40-something inch vertical and just a freak athlete. And, yeah, it was good to see him, get some shine last
I
year.
honestly, until the playoffs a couple weeks ago, I think it was the Packers game. He made a big catch.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was still playing. I really didn't. Because he had gone to Houston after Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize he ended up in San Francisco. I was tweeting last night. He's the MVP of the game at one time.
Yeah.
I mean, special teams plays and you're making a catch. I mean, good for him. I was a big fan of Chris Conley, who we had on our show for a year at Top Golf. He was so good. I mean, really good. But wow, that he's still playing. No doubt they added weight to him, though, too, right? Almost like they made him like a hybrid tight endish kind of guy.
Look a tight end a little bit, yeah.
Doesn't he?
He's a big-looking dude, yeah, for sure.
But the one thing, again, I go back to this Jay Gruden conversation because it was just interesting to hear some of his thoughts. He said, I want to misquote him, if he said by far the best blocking receivers in the league. But I think he said by far the best blocking receiver group that he's ever seen.
For the San Francisco 49ers.
For the 49ers.
Yeah.
And he said Jawan Jennings, who obviously had the big game, is the best of all of them.
I mean, Debo's obviously
Debo's
legit.
physical, and he locks people up.
Yeah.
Pretty wild to look at it through that lens of what they have.
Yeah. I mean, I heard someone break down the Rams and kind of said the same thing when I was watching a Rams game this past season.
Really?
It's definitely kind of a lost art in terms of the wide receivers being able to block, right? Because it's always secondary to me, right? Like, okay, I'm a wide receiver. What do I have to block for?
You don't think about it.
Exactly. But
shoot, it's secondary for a tight end to block these days.
No, of course. But it always seems like the teams that can do it well, it's noticeable.
Yeah.
Right? And the 49ers stick out. I mean, obviously the Rams are more of a pass-oriented, but they can pound the rock this year as well. So there is something to be said for that. That comes right down to coaching, though. Right? Is to try to get your wide receivers to be like, hey, if you're going to be part of this team, you got to block. Not especially, the prima donna types, they don't want to do that. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to be physical. So if you're a coach and can bring that out of your wide receivers, there's a lot about you.
I think most receiver coaches and most coaches will say it and talk about it a lot. But the guy that I heard talk about it the most in Jacksonville, in my time here, I think that I can remember is Mularkey. Mularkey obviously wanted to play that physical style of ball, but he would talk a lot about those receivers and their willingness to block. Got to have the willingness first of all, then you got to be able to execute and do it. I do think a lot of people block. I think a guy like Zay Jones, you see him sometimes. I think he's pretty undervalued in that respect. I think he does a good job. So you see it and hear it more and more, but it was just interesting to hear him say that about that receiving core. The other thing that he said last night, just one more Jay Gruden thing, again, a guy that's been around the game, he was talking about Mahomes, and he evaluated Mahomes coming out, but at times was a tough evaluation because he threw a lot of picks. He turned it over too much, and so it kind of like scared you a little bit. But then he called him like, he's got to be the best off-schedule quarterback of all time already. And it got me thinking like of older guys. Like now you got a lot of off-schedule guys, right? I mean, Lamar Jackson can be an off-schedule guy. I'm almost any quarterback that plays almost has to be an off-schedule guy now.
Yeah.
But if you go back, like I would think of maybe a John Elway kind of played off-schedule. Favre was a good off-schedule guy.
Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the dude's footwork, mobility.
I think you got to be. But I think what he was talking more specifically is his ability to get rid of the ball while he's like going down and tackle.
I thought you meant
and
like the ability to extend the play when you're getting chased.
I think it's both, but I think it's part of the package. I think that's what separates a guy like Mahomes, which is really an interesting thing to evaluate. Like, who the hell would evaluate that? Yeah, really good when I'm like, throw it going down.
Yeah. We saw it again like last night. The guy, he's so deceivingly fast. You watch him run, and this is funny.
He ran for 66 yards.
One of my friends in the group chat said, and I can't not stop thinking about this now, that Patrick Mahomes runs like a guy who's on the beach and the sand's hot.
Like, just go back and look.
Like, just kind of like tiptoe. Just watch it. Watch it and tell me he doesn't run like a guy who's barefoot with hot sand. Exactly how he runs, but he gets the job done, man, time and time again.
Between that and Pacheco, the way he runs.
No, for sure. No, I mean, I agree with that comment, though. I think in terms of being able to extend the play, you think he's sacked and he's throwing it sidearmed, like the guy can do it all. And what gets me the most when you watch Patrick Mahomes, which is just, it's not fair, of how comfortable he is. Even a couple times when he got hit really hard, he got sacked behind the line of scrimmage, trying to, make something happen out of nothing. But like, most of the time when he does that, he can find that opening. He's just back there, the pocket's collapsing, but he's so calm in his demeanor. I'm not sure, once again, I didn't watch a lot of Patrick Mahomes in college. I'm not sure if that was like that or not. But like, he's like the rare exception, and they were saying his internal clock was going off a little too soon, whatever. I don't know, man. He still was trying to make things happen. A lot of these quarterbacks, when that pocket collapses or when you see a guy in your face, you panic. You're not going to like, no, I'm getting the bread of the ball, interception, or I'm going to fumble, whatever the case may be. Mahomes, it's like he waits till the very, very last second to get rid of that ball.
Yeah, I thought they were going to lose because there was that rollout play. I think Chase Young had him, and he had the intentional grounding, right? And it was like,
chest pass.
Even that's not working today for Mahomes. He had He had fumbled the snap. I know it was a low snap, but he usually would catch that. It was an interesting exchange with the running back. He threw the bad pick. It's like, this isn't his day. They got him. This felt, I think Romo might have said it felt like Tampa.
Yeah.
It felt like the Tampa game. And then they were able to, that defense kept them alive. Special teams obviously turned the tide a little bit, and then they kept them, gave him enough chances to do his thing, which he eventually did.